Hey everyone, Anders here, and today we're going to go over the future updates for Black Desert showcased in this year's Heidel Ball event. We're going to split these updates into chapters as they did, but please feel free to skip ahead using the video chapters to what you're most interested in. Let's start with Chapter 1, UI improvements. The world map and notifications are getting an update to the UI design language. They have added a way for you to filter notifications. For default, other player enhancements and rare drops will now be shown at the top right in a new submenu notification area. Normal notification spam can now be improved, so you won't get delay notifications like you get when mass cooking. You will now also be able to disable guild member enhancements in the settings menu. You can now also see where your alts are in the world map without needing to swap to them or look at the character swap window. They're going to show up now visually in the world map. You will be able to see each character's mount location as well. Each one will even have a submenu that will let you individually move each alt to where you want to. You can now also move them to not just cities but also individual node locations. Moving to towns is still free, but moving to nodes will cost you silver. Knowledge icons have been improved so you can see how many entries you're still missing in an area. The map menu has been filtered to make it easier to read, and they've updated the UI design overall. They've added a new event splash page, which is similar to what they have for Black Desert Mobile. All current events can now be seen from one location, and now you get a timer to tell you when events will end so you don't miss out on any future events. The buff UI is also being massively improved. You will now be able to see where and how your buffs are applied. It even tells you how it calculates your buffs and shows you the calculation. The enhancement UI is getting an overhaul as well. Valk's Cry, Cronstones, Hammers, and Fairy Blessings will now be positioned in a new enhancement inventory that becomes account-wide. This means you no longer need to store these types of items on individuals or your town storage. Fail stacks are now called enhancement chance, so you can apply them more intuitively with everything else related to enhancing, essentially making it more obvious how you are meant to use Advice of Valks, which can be confusing for new players. Using Cronstones will now be called level protection to make it clearer as to what they actually do. New players will now have no accessory fails for Tavala at below try enhancement level. They will also be given 10 billion silver after their season. The average Tavala season player graduates in 9 days, so they will get this benefit to help them gear up to the next stage. The amount will be given through quests and objectives instead of a full amount. Party Black Shrine is getting improvements. If you have no more attempts for the week, you can now enter as many times as you want, so you can try different bosses or help other guild members get their weekly clears. You yourself can still clear the boss completely, but you won't get any rewards. Ataraxian daggers will now drop from bosses to make it faster to complete, and these changes will go into effect over the next 2 months. The mentor-mentee system is part of this effort to try and support newer players and allow veteran players incentives to help others learn the game. They're also apparently working on a new starting area for new players to better streamline the new player experience. In Chapter 2, they continued quality of life updates. All-in-one presets are finally coming. You can view all your settings in one screen, and depending on the content, your preset will automatically take into effect. If you set up an arena preset in advance and you're grinding, for example, you get your queue to pop, you can instantly switch to what preset you want without having to think about switching settings after the fact. This is set to release at the end of August. Adventure log reward integration is being updated as well. Completing just Igor Bartali's log will now give you every single stat boost from all adventure logs. The old logs will now be objective-based content and optional. You will get rewards like titles and other items, and if you've already finished those logs, you will get these rewards in the mail once this update goes live. Farming seed storage is an ongoing issue for farmers, so they're going to give us an extra 50-slot seed pouch to give us a place to store those various seeds you may need. All you need for this item is skilled 1 farming, but it does seem like this is more of a temporary solution till they find a way to stack seeds in the future. Worker hiring can now use energy from alt characters, much like we can use our alt energy for investing into nodes. It works very similar. Silver embroidered life clothes except trader clothes will be deleted, and their effects will be incorporated into Mana's clothing. You will also get silver compensation for any silver embroidered clothes up to duo. That does get deleted. Anything greater will give you this new Dawn crystal that can be equipped on pre-owned Tony accessories like Karazad accessories. Processing success rate is being added to the Manos clothing. Inventory bloat is an issue in the game, especially for Pearl inventory slots. They're looking to develop something like a dressing room for outfits in the near future, but as a temporary solution, they're giving us a 40 slot outfit bag that can be acquired through loyalty. You can have up to 5 of these per character, and you can buy up to 12 a year through loyalty. This is similar to the Patrigio bag we have already in the game, but Merv's carry-on bag, as this new bag is called, has expanded function. The old Patrigio bag will then no longer be obtainable, and the swap feature it has will be removed, since the new Merv carry-on bag will have the same function. You can now designate a main Maid, which you can also customize as a class of your choice. This will be what you see when you use the Maid function in the game from now on. They're also experimenting with AI features to allow you to even talk to your Maid, sort of a conversational AI feature that some AI systems already implement. Interesting concept, we'll see if that pans out. Blue Battlefield is back. This is Naval PVP. We've had this before actually in Global Labs. They did a playtest and it showed us how bad the desync was. It made it unplayable, but now Blue Battlefield will take place in 2 regions, so Balanos Sea and the Calfian Sea. This summer we're going to get the Balanos Sea region. Rules are similar to Occupation Node Wars. Up to 20 players can register per guild. You will spawn in a random island in the Balanos Sea, and you must capture a fort or sink at least 10 ships to get credit. Fleet combat is going to be the core of the gameplay. There's going to be 2 special rules in this Blue Battlefield. So all ship movement is going to be reduced by at least 50%. Your speed and acceleration stat will essentially be split in half. You cannot repair your ship during battle, and if it gets destroyed, you need to go back to the wharf manager and repair your vessel manually. They will give us traveler maps to teleport to our harbor, so you won't get stranded out in the ocean. The guild galley will also serve as a flagship. It deals much more damage against forts. You cannot use, however, multiple galleys. Carracks are better at fighting other naval units. The movement stat reduction will again vary by ship type. Panaxon, for example, will be able to spin 180 degrees in place and have high defenses. They seem to be very strong in this type of content. Etheria galleons will also be able to participate but have lower defenses. This war will take place 6 times per week. Rewards are completely different from normal node wars, but easier to get into for newer players, and Blue Battlefield releases next month. In Chapter 3, they went over item changes. There will be a new landscape painting added that can be imbued with the loot table of other grind spots, specifically treasure items. Basically, if you want to work on obtaining your compass treasure item pieces, but don't want to grind at that normal spot, you can grind any grind spot with 300 AP or more requirement to still be able to obtain those treasure item pieces. You need to first obtain a scenery item for that zone before being able to do this, however, and the drop rates do seem to be lower than the original zone. Alchemy Stone Enhanced System is finally getting a revamp. Moving forward, there will be only 6 levels for Alchemy Stones, and they will only have 1 rarity from now on. You will be compensated with silver if you have any of the other rarity Alchemy Stones after this update, but enhancing has also been improved by showing you the possibility for us to use Cron Stones. The pity system is also being added to Alchemy Stone Enhancing, and success rates will be improved except for the Shining Alchemy Stone. Those will remain the same. The Sovereign Offhand or Sovereign Sub-Weapon is coming in August. It's going to have the combined stats of Nuver and Kudum that can be crafted the same way as the Sovereign weapons we have now, but need a bit more materials than the other Sovereign weapons. Instead of just needing 2 Pen Black Stars, for example, you're going to need 2 Pen Black Stars plus 1 Gem of Twilight. Gem of Primordial is also a new item that can be used to obtain it, and like the other Sovereign weapons, it cannot be sold on the market. Mythical Dine, Ardonaut, and Doom are now 1 horse. They will swap automatically when needed without any transition, allowing you to fly, then run on water without stopping. It is completely seamless, and in the desert, you will also convert into the Dine horse. All you need is a Krogdalo Sanctuary to have this horse. It is a completely new horse, however, that can transform like this. You will get this automatically once you get that Krogdalo Sanctuary done, and it has the highest max stats from all horses and knows all the skills at level 1. Doesn't really have a name yet. If you have any suggestions, you can let them know, but it will be called something specific once it goes live. They're experimenting with tag characters being able to swap near instantly, so no loading time through the swap. This is still in the experimental phase, however, so we'll see how it pans out. Next, they talked about resistances and PvP class ratios. Resistances and class ratio synergy is something we've been waiting for since they last mentioned it, I think almost a year ago now. Refining the damage calculation formula is something they talked about. Accuracy and evasion will now have a 1% to 4 conversion ratio. Accuracy buffs for skills have been completely removed. 18 accuracy has been applied to a passive every class already has, that infinite mastery passive. DR rate of super armor is also being addressed. It is now an additive calculation. Species damage will be changed. Human damage, for example, will no longer apply to other players. Instead, it applies to humanoid enemies. Instead, the damage that you can deal to other players will be its own effect. Extra damage for species will also no longer go over the soft cap for monster zones either. Summons or summon skills from classes will be changed to have those amplification effects that affect you apply the same way to summons. Summons also being stronger at night will also be removed. These are fundamental changes. Resistances will no longer apply in PvP. Any effect you had will be replaced with other effects. Resistances will still apply in PvE. Grapples, especially ranged, will now have a wind-up animation. Grapple resistance will be removed completely from the game as it serves no purpose in PvE. Grouping synergy multipliers or class ratios as we know it will be changed. Ranger, for example, will be considered melee in Awakening and ranged in Succession. Mouse movement will also be completely disabled. Improving the sense of progression has been a problem for a long time. Now, if you don't meet the minimum AP for a monster zone, you will have drastically reduced efficiency at that grind spot. And if your AP is above the limit, you won't get a massive amount of efficiency gains by grinding there either. Instead, they hope to improve higher AP zones enough to make you shift over to those spots instead of grinding old grind spots that you overlevel. They will lower the amount of one-shot mechanics from monsters as well. AP has to be met, but DP can be overcome with skill is a sort of general idea they're going for. Dungeon content needs a minimum DP as well to even enter now, and from next week on we will be seeing these combat changes in global labs for a month, and at the end of July we'll see these updates go on live servers. Chapter 4 was about Edania, the new region north of Valencia. Edania will be an endgame region that is split into two parts. We're getting part 1 that includes 5 castles of Edana and the sanctuary village. The lords of these castles are major historical characters in the BDO lore. Part 2 will also have a castle that will be controlled by the Black Dragon Markthanian, and by the end of the second part of this region, we will complete the original story of the game and transition into the next phase of BDO, which I imagine they mean going back in time thousands of years before the current state of the world, which is something they've teased before. However, Edania, this region, will include monster zones as usual, more cutscenes than we're used to in the main story. You need to complete the final Gladios dungeon in Ataraxion to start the main quest in Edania. Etherion, Nymphomare, Tenebrum, Orbita, and Zephyros will be the monster zones available to us in the first part of Edania. The first castle, Etherion, will require 350 AP and 427 DP, and the hardest zone will need 380 AP and 460 DP. Each area will have a boss you need to defeat to progress. There will also be a limitation on how many bosses you can fight per week. So that means 1 boss per week. Each boss will, however, offer gradually better loot as you progress. New artifact and lightstones are coming as well. You can reform your artifacts and make new, stronger lightstones with these new items from Edania. Edanian monsters will be a new category of monsters, so a new stat is being added for them, much like damage to demi-human or damage to Camasylvian monsters. New crystals will be added that have this Edanian monster damage effect as well. There's also a new life crystal that can be crafted with materials from this region that has both life XP and life mastery effects in one crystal. New elixirs and perfumes are being added as well. You can use existing perfumes combined with materials from this region to make these new items. Primordial fragments and the gem of primordial, which is needed for the sovereign offhand crafting, do drop from this region. This is going to be a longer method of crafting the sovereign offhand if you want to use the gem of primordial, since you do need 1,000 fragments to craft the gem, but but you can grind, complete quests, and beat bosses for these fragments. We now also have a new tier of armor set called the Primordial Grade or Edana's Armor Set. It's similar to the Slumbering Origin gear that we have right now, but Edana is supposed to be easier to craft, but it is limited in how many materials we can obtain weekly. You're going to need Tet Slumbering Armor with 1 fragment of Edana. You then need a fragment of Edana to craft the new Blackstones to enhance this new Edana set. Fragment of Edana can only be obtained from beating the new region bosses once per week, and if you have Pen Slumbering Origin Armor, which I believe they said only 77 people in the world have, you can convert that into Oct Edana Armor immediately once this update goes live. The pity system is going to apply to Edana Armor. It is, like I said, easier to enhance, but the limitation is obviously that weekly fragment needed. It is now the best armor set in the game. It has a dark aura effect as well, with additional effects at Pen and Oct. If you collect all 4 armor pieces, you will also be given an outfit version of this armor set that can be used as a normal outfit. DR and evasion effects are combined for the Edana set. AP for Sovereign Pen, Hex, and Sept will be increased by 1, with an additional 3 AP for Reformed weapons. Main hand weapons will now also be able to be reformed with Garmet's Heart. 3 AP and 50 accuracy will be the applied effect for that. And to help us with this, every player will be getting an inverted Garmet's Heart for free next week. PvP content is core for Edania. If you fight the boss first and defeat them, you will then be able to become the lord of that castle. To become the lord, or Edana as they call it, you need to fight the boss and win. 10 players will then have a weekly, no rules, free-for-all for ownership of this castle. The 7 highest GS players and 3 random players who've defeated the zone boss will be selected. The one who is left will then fight the current Edana. This is going to be across all servers. You also get a crown as Edana. You can chat without megaphone usage. You get a crown icon next to your name, and you get taxes. A portion of, I believe, the teleport price they said for people using the Magnus will be given to you. You will also not suffer any PvP penalties as Edana. You can freely PK within your castle region and suffer absolutely no consequences. Edana Blessing can also be applied by the Edana of that region, which gives everyone grinding in their fiefdom a 100% item drop rate buff for an hour up to 10 times per week, and Edania Part 1 is set to release in August. Next, we have the new class. The 30th class of BDO, Wukong, has been announced. Wukong started development 5 years ago, but he's gone through some changes since the BDO Mobile China version. He is a descendant of Sun Wukong, so he is not the same Wukong we know of in lore. So he is human. He meets Lan and supposedly becomes her master, as far as they're hinting at. They plan to have some lore missions when he releases. He uses the Power Pole as a main weapon and an awakening weapon in the Jade Pillar. He is an Ascension class like Archer, Deadeye, and Scholar. He has a grapple. His core gameplay is essentially quick combo attacks. In his Buddha state, his AoE becomes massive and is able to deal even more damage. As long as you keep hitting your target, you will move forward to your next target. You also have clones similar to that of Striker. He also has an ultimate that is unlimited as long as you keep attacking enemies. He also has a flying Nimbus that allows you to travel at great distances. His short movement apparently is his weak point, but the grapple is supposed to help with this. Wukong releases next week, July 2nd, and if you want, you can try him out right now in Global Labs. The 31st class was also teased, so the one after Wukong. She is internally called Savior. She wields a claymore and resembles a female awakening warrior. Savior is linked with Edania in the lore, and she releases with Edania Part 2. To me, she looks like Delia from Vindictus, so I'm pretty hyped on that one. There will also be a PvP tournament coming up, Master Class it's called. This is the tournament we've seen before, in-class matches, 1v1. Only players in the top 5%, however, of their GS within their class can sign up to this tournament. The tournament itself will be equalized in gear. Next, we have a brand new flying mount, the Griffin mount. However, only Master Class winners can use this mount. They will be able to use it for an entire year. Winners will also get special titles and an in-person invitation to the next Heidel ball. Master Class is set to start in October. New outfits were also announced. It is the summer outfit, Summer Getaway, but there's a second summer outfit as well, Ocean Spray, more of a scuba design. It includes an accessory item with the water gun. Lastly, we have a coupon code with a ton of items as we expect. 20,000 Kronstones, which is crazy, 7 hammers, outfits, fail stacks, and even mythical horse attempts. That's it for this one. I'll have a skill video on Wukong later in the channel, so stay tuned for that. Let me know what you think about the updates in the comments down below, and as always, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.